Everybody, welcome to the Torture Man Mancast, episode 31. We are going to be talking about football and how well we did in our predictions. We're going to be moving quickly today because we are on a tight schedule. So let's get it started fast. Chad, what you got?
Well, I do have a special guest here for us today, folks. He's got nothing else going on because he has been recently fired. Kevin McCarthy's joining us today to talk about some football. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, we're not doing politics today. We're sticking with football because football's way fucking better.
And far more interesting.
How about it? I do have one thing to say. I want to start off with an interesting anecdote. Of course, these men are beasts in their own right, but Calvin Johnson, Megatron, this is kind of a point I heard Shregs touching on. Most receiving yards in a single season, still holds the record. Cooper Kupp, he was first since 2005, Steve Smith Sr. to get the Triple Crown, most receiving yards, most touchdowns,
and catches,
most receptions, right? And now what's Puka Nacua up to, right? I guess I'm making the point that Matty Stafford, man, those guys are obviously beasts, but somebody has to get the ball to them. Matty is a fucking legend, dude, and he's making Puka one of those dudes.
Well, that's very true. And another thing that I find very interesting about that is this kid's a rookie, and he was drafted in the 5th round. So nobody even knew who he was because he was on absolutely nobody's radar to begin with. So he's been quite remarkable so far. And last weekend, he had another huge game. He's second behind Jefferson and one spot ahead of Tyreek Hill with reception yardage, and he's number 1 in receptions. So it's an unbelievable start to his rookie season. And as long as we're on that rookie season thing, it's something that's gone under the radar because Puka's getting a lot of attention, is Devon Achane with the Miami Dolphins. He's only started 2 games. And so far in 2 games, he has 26 carries for 303 yards, averaging 11.85 yards a carry and 4 touchdowns. So he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, you could say that.
And then, of course, as long as we're talking about rookies, my boy CJ Stroud is going to be Rookie of the Year. He is tearing it up. Bryce Young will be out of the NFL within 3 years. He will never survive. He looks like garbage. I warned everybody that the kid would never make it, and he's clearly not. And even though he had his best game last week, he clearly does not. It's not just the fact that he's barely completing. He's 34th in completion percentage. He's 29th in Q rating. It's not going well at all. And it's not going to get any better. He not only does he not have a whole lot of help, but he cannot read a defense to save his life. He just can't. See it.
So I certainly have to admit that you seems like right now you were definitely nailing this one early on in our predictions about the entire season because you called it. I thought Bryce was going to bring it. I thought he could show out better than this. I will say that I'm not ready to bury him completely, but I am willing to say that you are definitely right about who's the better quarterback, and you would have been a better GM. Obviously the better GM took the better quarterback here, and Stroud is clearly the quarterback. The better quarterback.
Stroud, when you watch him play, he plays like he's been in the league for years. He reads defenses. He knows how to check down. He does not make mistakes. He knows how to get rid of the ball. He doesn't take unnecessary sacks or hits. He's doing everything a professional veteran NFL quarterback should be doing, and he's only got 4 games of experience. So when you look at a guy like that, straight out of college, that's unusual. Not only that, he's thrown for more yards in his first 4 games than any quarterback in NFL history this side of Cam Newton. That includes Patrick Mahomes and everybody else. And he's the only quarterback in NFL history to start his first 4 games and not turn the ball over 1 time. This kid's the real deal. And remarkable. The Texans are legit contenders for the AFC South with the Jaguars. Period.
Well, it's very true. And I mean, they're about to have as many wins, I should say, probably this week, this coming week, as they had all season last year.
That's right. And they're going to do it. And they're going to do it in 5 games. And I didn't even pick them to win last week. You did. and they absolutely smoked.
I don't get any credit for that because I have to just one caveat. Let's jump right into how we did. But one caveat here, I'm going to blame being on vacation. I'm going to blame the relaxation. I'm going to blame the legal weed. I'm going to, be drinking too much, sitting on a deck in front of a beautiful lake. I'm going to blame all that for my piss poor judgment last week because I went fucking 8-8, man. I'm like one of those losers you're talking about
No, I
on
got that.
TV,
Well, I
and
got you
you
at 9 and
killed it.
7. Actually, I got you at 9 and 7.
Okay, maybe so, but anyway, I did pretty dismal. So let's
I
get
was
into
12. I was 12 and 4, which seems to be what I do every week. And for the
right.
season, because we're 25% in, and to be fair to everyone, we didn't on air make our predictions for week 1 of the season, but we did between ourselves, and I have those written down as well. And so currently, I am 47 and 17 for the season. That's 73%, which I will be glad to take. And Chad, even though he had a dismal performance this past week, was ahead of me by 2 games coming into it. So he's only 1 game behind at 46 and 18 for the season.
Yeah, I'll turn it around.
So, yeah, there was, but the games that, first off, the Bears again snatched defeat from the jaws of victory against the Broncos. I mean, you called the Bears, and at halftime I was going, well, I'm got to take that one as a loss, and no, because the Bears do what the Bears do. And the saddest part for me in that game with the Bears was the fact that Justin Fields again played really well, and it means nothing to that franchise. And now everybody's talking about Caleb Williams at USC coming out, and they have 2 first-round draft picks, probably the first 2, the way they're going. And that's probably what they're going to do. So good for Justin Fields. Keep playing, keep showing out, and you will end up on a good NFL football team next year. Maybe the Washington Redskins. Who knows? But at least you'll be in a position to win. And then Caleb Williams will get to come into Chicago. And then after a couple of years, everybody will say what a piece of shit loser quarterback he is because he plays on the worst team in the NFL. And thank you, Bears, for making the Cardinals look like a legitimate football team. Yeah,
but if Sam Howell keeps showing out like he's showing out, man, there may not be a spot open over there.
We get to that game real quick. The former Washington Redskins, Sam Howell, after his dismal performance the week before, played very, very well against the Eagles. The Eagles still seem to be up and down. It's beginning of the year, but it's time to lock everything in. But they're 4-0. But a 2-2 after the first 4 is about where I would have put the former Redskins. And if Sam Howell can actually play good and, more importantly, mistake-free, they were in that game. And that drive that he made to put him into overtime was great, but they never would have been there had he not thrown a pick 6. So you got to take the good with the bad with this kid. But he's a rook, too, pretty much for all intents and purposes. But he seems to be playing okay. We'll see where it goes from here.
I'm going with the hype machine because everybody wants to act like, oh shit, Sam Howell's the real deal because he has one good game where he still fucks up royally and loses. And to me, it's beautifully ties into the Jets, right? And your boy over there, Zach, who you shat on completely last week, as did I, and as he deserves.
Yeah.
But now everybody's acting like, whoa, he had the best game of his life against the Chiefs. He scored a couple of times and still lost and still fucking coughed up the ball. And, he had a pedestrian game, and it's all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, we got something with Zach Wilson, because when you compare it to his past games.
well, here's the thing.
And the Chiefs look like shit, by the way.
The Jets gave him a game. That's the worst performance by the Chiefs that I can remember in a very long time.
Patrick Mahomes.
Particularly in the second and third quarters. He's even caught from the sideline, the little things so they can catch what the guys are saying on the field. You can hear him muttering to himself to throw the ball harder, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's telling himself that was a fluttery piece of shit, Pat. What am I doing? So he had the shittiest game that I've ever seen him have against. By the way, while the Jets, because of the loss of Aaron Rodgers, are flailing, their defense is really, really good. Dude. It's not like Pat Mahomes is playing the Cardinals or the Bears. The Jets had a legitimate top 5 defense last year.
Here's the problem. they're a phenomenal defense. They're easily a top 5, if not top 3 again this year. What I saw from watching closely was that they were filling in the soft spots that the Chiefs, especially Travis Kelce, loves to find. Whenever it breaks down and
Agreed.
Kelce ventures into those soft spots to catch the ball, those backyard fucking, secondary plays, that they were putting men in those spots. They were their zone. They did the zone in a way that they were filling those gaps, and the Chiefs didn't really know what to do with it. And a big part of it is because we have a really young wide receiver core who doesn't really understand that very well at this point. Although we'll get better as the season goes on. And there was also, like, my boy Nick Wright made a point, I think, too, is that the Chiefs probably were a little complacent going into this game. And Nick Wright kept calling it a practice, a dress rehearsal, like a scrimmage. And the Chiefs, they managed to win, and it wasn't ever an issue, but they just didn't bring their A game. I think the Jets are legit. I think that's the problem there. Yeah, the Chiefs probably didn't bring their A game in Patty Mahomes especially, but I think you're right. The Jets defense, dude. Don't take that away from them.
The Jets are not legit, however. Their defense is, and they have offensive playmakers that are, but they don't have a quarterback that can make it get done. If Aaron Rodgers would have been playing in that game and the Chiefs would have played the same way, they would have got smoked. And they didn't, because Zach Wilson was the quarterback on the other side, not somebody like Aaron Rodgers. But for me, Pat Mahomes played the worst game of his season, but worse was that most of the blame doesn't belong on him. You brought up his receiving core, and they're shit. They're playing like total garbage. In the first 3 quarters of that game, they caught 2 passes for 12 yards. That's it. His wide receiving core has been garbage all year. And another thing that I find very interesting is Andy Reid, who has often been considered one of the best play game scripters, with what they do. They script the game for the first quarter or the first so many series. And this is the first year without Eric Bieniemy, and they have done shit this year. So it's interesting to me that all the scripting and everything else has provided so far this year 17 points in 4 games. Last year at this point, 59.
Yeah, well, again, I think they've caught on to how to play Kelce, and I think that with no Juju, you need another guy like that who knows how.
Well, it's easier to come up on Kelce like that when you have nothing else to worry about.
Right, and I'm saying that we need to find somebody who. Juju was an experienced receiver who knew how to find those soft spots too. And we have just a bunch of young guys and Travis Kelce at this point. And so until those guys can get caught up, and I think it will, by the end of the season, this always happens. The Chiefs always start off clunky. By the end of the season, they're a fucking wagon.
Well, I'm certainly not saying the Chiefs are done. I'm just saying,
I know
that if the Chiefs have to get some things straightened out here, it just seems, and everything just seems to be off with them all around. Look, and I'm making I saw the same thing with the Cowboys during their dynasty. The reason I don't consider the Patriots were a dynasty for a very long period of time, but they weren't like amazingly great over a 4 or 5 year period. They won one here and then another one here. And then they went back to back, I think, once in the 7 that they won over a 20-year period of time. Whereas the Chiefs, like the Cowboys, like the Steelers before them, the Cowboys 1-2 with Jimmy Johnson, and then that whole thing in Dallas got weird. They missed a year, and then they came back. They won 3 and 4 years. Dallas should have won 5 and 5 years. And complacency starts to kick in, even with the best professionals in the world. You start to like the smell of your own farts, for lack of a better term, and you start to believe that you're impervious to everyone and that you can always pull the game out. And so they just need to get motivated. And I don't think at the beginning of the year with some of these top tier teams that constantly are going to AFC championship games, in this case, and multiple Super Bowls over a 4-year period of time, 3 to be exact, that they're just not motivated yet. When it starts to matter, we'll see a difference. That's my take on that.
And I got just one more thing before I ask, because I want to talk to you about that penalty that everybody's bitching about too. But I fucking hope Taylor Swift fucks off at some point.
No, Chad.
She's a big ass distraction, dude, and I'm tired of fucking hearing about her.
First off, Kansas City would have never beat the Jets if she wouldn't have been watching. Everybody knows it's true. God, and you're going to love this because you brought it up. I actually
I'm sorry I did, by the way.
I clicked on my little thing, says NFL News, and the headline was, The NFL is better because Taylor Swift watches football.
Fuck my life. Oh God. All right. So anyway, let's move on. She gets way too much fucking air anyway. Go ahead.
So I got one more thing for you in regards to Kansas City. I need your take on this.
Well, I want to talk about the penalty with Kansas City too.
Okay, well, let's do that. All right, is that better?
Yes, it seems to be.
Because I don't know why, but why we were talking.
But now you need to turn up again.
Now what are you asking me?
Now you need to turn up again.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. So it switched me over to my computer mic from my good mic automatically for whatever reason.
That's strange.
Okay. So I'll get back to what I was saying about the penalties. Unless it's a super egregious, like let's say the Rams literally mugging a man and ass raping him, the Saint on the field, and then nobody throwing a flag. Yeah. That cost the Saints an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl a few years ago. That's something that's worth crying and pissing about. Mm-hmm. Holding calls and all that kind of shit, or the defensive interference that they're claiming wasn't called. This shit happens in every NFL game. There's no conspiracy. It's just shit that happens in any NFL game. And I'm going to say this out loud, and I know this is going to bother a lot of people, especially those who might like the Jets. But at the end of the day, the elite teams in every sport get more calls than the teams that aren't elite because they're the ones who make the most money and everybody finds more compelling. Everybody tries to keep it as even as they can, but it's only pointed out when somebody can come to the conclusion that the game was won or lost over a single call. And that is never the case. Literally speaking, never the case, with the exception of the Rams Saints NFC Championship game a few years ago. But generally speaking, you know how many missed calls there were on, say, holding by the Jets in that game? Probably 10.
Here's the thing. There was 1,000. Even Sauce admitted it. He said, I wasn't really holding him late because you were holding him the whole game up until then.
That's right. And you were holding him early on that play.
And you held him that play. Sorry. I know it wasn't like a fucking egregious hold, but when you come up around there like that, sorry, you're going to get the call.
It doesn't matter. If everybody wants to have a problem, then blame the ref who waited till the conclusion of the play to throw the flag. Right? Because you're saying that. So the theory is that the flag came in late only because there was, it was a way to nullify something, an exception in this case. It was a way to nullify it because they wouldn't have thrown the flag had it been nothing would have happened. That's a load of shit. If you watch it in slow motion, the ref's grabbing at his flag long before the completion. Everybody watches everything in slow motion and thinks everything's happening in real time. In real time, these things, a second seems like a long time in slow motion. It's not a long time in the course of the game. So I don't read a whole lot of that stuff unless it affects my team. I don't care.
Here's what I want to say though: is let's talk about the first quarter when you have the NFL's own guy, the rules of the what is he? I can't remember his name, but the guy they had in the booth who was like a retired NFL.
Oh yeah, he used to be senior NFL official, right. Meaning that he was the guy who controlled all the referees.
And you saw when they got that safety, 2 free points, he was like, "Yeah, it's not a safety." He was like, "That penalty was happening before he got in the end zone." Blah blah. And then you see the next drive, he turns around and you get this bogus horse collar call on the Chiefs too, which then results in 3 points. So. You guys got 5 points gifted to them based on bad calls that the NFL's top guy actually said were bad calls because it happened early on though. All of a sudden that's negated. No, come on, man. You can't just because one happens at the end, all of a sudden be like,
well,
nothing ever bad happened to the Chiefs. You know what I mean?
That's my whole point. There are bad calls in every game because there's human error in every game. That's just what it is. And I look. I never obviously refereed at that level, but I have refereed at pretty high levels for basketball and particularly basketball all the way up in the high school level. And man, I'm telling you, and this is just high school kids. They're moving so goddamn fast. You just have to make calls sometimes that you think are correct. You're not always correct. It's just the way it goes. So anybody who expects complete proficiency and 100% accuracy from NFL officials, just go back to watching Disney because that Fantasyland's a whole lot better.
About it.
One more thing about the Chiefs that I have to bring up.
Yeah, go
I need your take on Kelsey being the spokesperson for COVID, Pfizer, and Bud Light, and the fact that Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee were literally calling him Mr. Pfizer and making fun of his ass the other day. I thought it was hysterical.
I was cracking up, and I was listening to it in the car driving down the road, coming back from vacation, and I, I'm talking to my wife, and I'm telling her, I'm filling her in, and I'm cracking up because I'm fucking loving the jokes from McAfee. Honestly, Kelsey came down a big peg for me when he did that sellout bullshit with Pfizer, and to jump back into our other show where we're going on with conspiracy theories, I have a conspiracy theory that they've put freaking Kelsey and Taylor Swift together. Like they've actually arranged this, and that they're not actually like a real couple, but it's an arrangement for both their images, but to get two things, to boost the big Black Rocks and things like that. I mean, they were making money hand over fist. They're very well invested in the NFL and everything around it. Pfizer's one of their biggest, advertisers, big pharma, all this stuff. They're heavily involved in the war machine, the NFL. They were advertising for the NFL like crazy, one of the biggest recruiters. So all this is all billionaires. This is all the big oligarchy, the cabal. And they're putting these two together. And I don't know if you've heard recently, that dumbass Taylor Swift has come out and completely anti-Trump. He's a horrible person. She reached out on TikTok to all her Swifties, and they're all Gen Zs, to go get signed up to vote because we got to stop Donald Trump. And they're getting like 13,000 people signing up per minute now because she has so much pull with all these kids. And so like this is another angle for the uniparty machine to stay in power. That's my conspiracy theory.
Yep, which makes me have even less respect for Kelsey if he's involved in something like that. I mean, at least if he was getting laid, I could kind of understand it. But if this is all because he has chosen to be a fucking dupe for the machine, then fuck that guy 100%.
He's making piles of money. I'll tell you.
I don't care. He's making piles of money before it. So what difference does that make?
Yeah. So anyway, who knows if any of that shit's true? That's my
I've seen stranger things. I can say that. I just think Taylor Swift is A, not good looking enough, or B, doesn't have near enough talent for him to be going through all this shit. Amen. I'm just not. Taylor Swift voice literally makes me want to take a ice pick and jam it through my ear hole so that I go deaf and never have to listen to her again.
I would rather listen to 1,000 Taylor Swift songs than one Beyonce song. She sounds like somebody has a dying cat on a rope and is swinging it over their head. That goes straight
to the point of making, and we'll move on, is that the top 5 female singers in this country all suck dick. They're horrible. They cannot fucking sing. All they can do is dance and preen, and they have the charisma to get a shit ton of young people to do their bidding and do whatever they say. They're minions. And you know who started all that shit? Mariah Carey.
Yep, and they pay $800 a ticket to go watch the dumbass.
Remember Mariah Carey? She used to have a call-in number. My lambs, my little lambs, do this and do that. Oh my God, bro. So let's move on. Let's get to Lions and Packers. Okay, look, this is another thing.
We got to go quick here.
Jordan Love is literally dead last in the NFL in completion percentage for starting quarterbacks.
We got to move quick here, boss.
And he's Jordan Love is not the next coming of Aaron Rodgers or Brett Favre. The Packers are going to be in a lot of trouble this year, and they got absolutely smoked. The Buffalo Bills, everybody better get scared and fast. I called them to go to the Super Bowl this year. They're destroying everything in their path. They smoked the Dolphins by 28 points, and it wasn't even that close. It was an embarrassment for the Dolphins. The Bills are on fire, and Josh Allen is, like I called at the beginning of the year, so far is MVP worthy right now. He is blowing it up. The Bengals are done. It's over. They're not even going to make the playoffs this year, I don't think, at this point. It's a shame. CJ Stroud is smoking it. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah.
Let me see here. Khalil Mack had 6 sacks against the Chargers, only to be preceded by Derek Thomas, who had 7 versus the Seahawks in 1990. What a performance! Khalil Mack is absolutely right now the best linebacker in the NFL. This side of Micah Parsons, he is destroying everything. It is the shame that the Raiders are so poorly run and have such a shit goddamn thing going on. The Pittsburgh Steelers should be embarrassed. And if they haven't fired their offensive coordinator, and for the life I can't figure out why. It's just get rid of that fucking guy. It's horrible. I said the Steelers would not have a winning season. They're not going to. And oh, by the way, Kenny Pickett, who is one of the only good things about that team, won't be playing for the next few weeks. Yep. Brock Purdy, I don't know what to say about this guy. 20 of 21. And it's 95%, bro. Just stupid. I still haven't seen him do anything spectacularly great, but he is so efficient and so smart. It's kind of frightening. Yes, Josh Allen was 21 of 25 for 320 yards and 4 touchdowns, which gave him a perfect Q score, which is very hard to do in the NFL. And that's it. That's what I got. None of the games actually surprised me a whole lot. Most of it came down the way that I thought it would. The Browns getting smoked by the Ravens kind of surprised me. But I did not know that Deshaun Watson was not going to be available to play in that game. And they started a rookie that was taken in the 875th round. I have no idea. It was that guy. I never even heard of him. And he played like nobody ever heard of him.
Right.
The Steelers and the Texans would be the other one because the Texans smoked the Steelers. I mean, bad. And I really thought the Patriots would do much, much better. The Patriots season, Jones is not working out. Mac Jones, he got pulled again. It's over there. The Patriots need to rebuild. They were trying to hang on to something. It's gone. And I knew that they wouldn't make the playoffs this year, but a 38-3 loss to Dallas. What's going on with Belichick? He forgot how to coach defense. Screw the offense.
I don't know. Maybe his mind is somewhere wherever the Giants O-line is. His mind's out there with it.
Is it me when you watch the Patriots? Is it me or does it look like Belichick isn't even interested anymore?
He's not.
I don't think fiery. He's not angry
because he knows he doesn't. They're not going to do it.
He knows he doesn't have the talent to do anything.
He doesn't have Brady. He doesn't. He doesn't have that anymore. He needs that commander. He needs to be the general, and then he needs that guy right below him that delegates and does all that. He doesn't have Tom Brady anymore, and it looks like without Tom Brady, he can't get it done.
So. And yet another great Alabama quarterback showing that they suck in the NFL, which is the history of Alabama quarterbacks. Because being great in college is not the same as the NFL.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of that, Danny Dimes, man, like, come on, dude, this guy is not looking good. But that O-line is trash. But
they're not going to give up on him with the money that they paid him.
They paid him like a starting quarterback, and he is not.
He's not.
All right, you want to get
to Bears Redskins. I am going with, obviously, the Washington football team. The Bears are just abysmal, and the Redskins have been playing good football. They're 2-2. They could have beat the Eagles last week. They didn't, but they never got the ball. I mean, they had a shot in overtime, and, it is what it is. But the Eagles are a better football team. That they stood in that game, put up 31 points against that defense.
Amen.
John, they're just going to smoke the Bears would be my guess.
Yep.
Next is Jags-Bills. And I like the Jags. The Jags played well last week. They got a big win, and their defense only gave up 3 points, but they're not beating the Bills. They're just not there yet. And not that they're not capable of beating the Bills, but the Bills are on friggin' fire right now. Diggs and Allen are on the same page. They're loving each other. And when those two are on the same page and they're doing well, they're one of the most dangerous duos in the NFL. Diggs is a top 5 wide receiver. He's been playing like it. I like the Jags. I don't think this is going to be a blowout, but I can't see him hanging with the Bills.
The only problem one of the biggest problems the Bills had early on was like the issues with Stephon Diggs. There was some rift there, and anybody with a brain in their head just said, once they start winning, once Stephon starts scoring them tuds, dude, it ain't gonna, none of that shit's gonna matter anymore. It's gonna be all behind him, and that's exactly what we saw. And next thing you know, Diggs is running over to the sideline, fucking chugging beers, Steve Austin style, and they're back on track. They're back to the Bills again. Now, don't never underestimate their boy, their quarterback's penchant for just doing something really fucking stupid, because he could try to hurdle fucking 3 people at the same time and throw a ball right to another defender.
He will.
But he could really get fucking silly sometimes. So just
he will, or he'll drop his shoulder into a defensive tackle and think he's going to run him over, right?
But he's the man.
He does that.
Yeah, but anyway, I'm taking the Bills.
Yep. Saints Patriots. This is a tough one for me. The Patriots are at home, but they don't seem to be clicking at all, and their quarterback has no confidence. Carr will be healthy this week. Didn't play great last week, but he shouldn't have been playing with that bruised AC joint to begin with. They should have given him another week. They have Winston. So, but I'm going to go with the Saints here on the road, only because I think the Patriots are in a lot of trouble. The Patriots, I think they're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, this is one I'm torn on here, because I just feel like the Pats could come back and fight again, but I'm going to go with you, the Saints.
Titans Colts. While the Colts have done much more than I thought they would, the Titans are really playing well. Derrick Henry is running great. Tannehill is playing very efficiently, and their defense is playing well. And I just think the Titans are a better football team, even on the road. This is a toss-up game for me, but I think the Titans are just simply the better football team. Richardson hasn't done anything for me to go, okay, not yet anyhow. And he's only 4 games in. So, and he's already been injured twice, which you never know. But I'm going to go with the Titans myself.
I think Richardson's showing some promise, actually. I think he's actually looking like he could be something. He needs more time for sure. I'm going to take the Colts here. I think this is a division rivalry that
it'll be a good game.
I think it'll be a good game. So
everybody in that division, by the way, is 2-2.
You won't have Jim Irsay down there on the field before the game with his dog shitting on the 50-yard line. And they have to
pretending that the vodka in his juice is just juice.
So without all that distraction, the Colts get a win.
Okay, we'll go Ravens Steelers. That's giving me there. The Ravens. I mean, there's a lot of history between these two teams, and so that plays into it. But the Ravens are just a vastly superior football team to the Steelers right now. And on top of that, Trubisky is starting this week because Kenny Pickett's out, and Mitch Trubisky is not going to beat the Ravens. No way in hell.
Yeah, there's no effing way I'm ever going to bet on Mitchell Trubisky. So Ravens.
I mean, let's face it. He is better than Pat Mahomes by his draft slot, but other than that, Panthers Lions. That's a give me game. The Lions that all day long. They're playing great.
Yeah,
they just smoked their biggest division rival.
Yep,
they're in really good shape. They look really good against the Packers, and everything that the Packers did. Look, Jordan Love started that game against them. Their defense was so efficient. In the first 22 minutes of that game, he was 1 of 9 for minus 20 yards. And by that point, they just went into coast mode for the Lions. Man, they're playing prevent defense for the rest of the damn game. So all that yardage and all those wide open passes he was throwing to make his stats look better at the end of the game doesn't change the fact that in the beginning to the meat of that game that put them so far behind they couldn't win, he was 1 for 9 for minus 20 yards. They also sacked him 8 times or whatever it was. So no, see you later. Bye.
So you're going with New York here, right? On the next one?
The next one I have is Texans Falcons.
Oh, okay. We'll go with that.
So the Texas Falcons, I like the way the Texans are playing football right now, so I'm going with the Texans.
Same.
The Falcons quarterback, just no. Ritter, no, he's not that guy. Giants Fins, I think this is going to be a nail biter. The Giants are going to come close to winning this game. I'm going to say 35-7 Miami and a nail biter all the way to the end. I think the Finns get really healthy here. The Giants are no competition for the Dolphins. The Dolphins are at home. They're pissed. They were embarrassed last week. And we've seen what happens to the Giants when they actually play legitimate football teams. They get smoked. They got smoked by Dallas. They got smoked by the Bills. And they're going to get smoked here by the Finns.
Wasn't it like 10 or 11 sacks the Giants took?
Yeah, it was 11.
Yeah, that's insane.
It was horrible.
So clearly the
Bengals cards. The question is, when do I give up on the Bengals? Because I picked them almost every fucking week. I have picked them, and they have lost every goddamn game. And I know if I take the Cardinals, they're going to win this goddamn game. They have to win this. They just have to, or their season's over. They're playing for more than the Cardinals are here. I don't care how banged up Burrow is. If they do not win this game and they start 0-5, there's literally no chance of them making the playoffs. None. Because the only way to make the playoffs then would be to win 11 consecutive games. Because unless you're 10-7 or 11-6, you're not making the playoffs. So, especially in the AFC, especially when you got the Ravens in your own division and you got Miami and the Bills and you got the Chargers and the Chiefs and at least one coming out of the South, no way in hell. They have to win this game. I'm going with the Bengals.
And I'm just saying, if you can't beat the Titans,
the Cardinals.
I know, but last week they couldn't.
Oh, they got smoked. It was 28-3.
It wasn't even close. Joe Burrow looked terrible. He should not have been out there.
But the Titans would smoke the Cardinals too.
But Joe Burrow should not have been out there.
No, he shouldn't be playing.
He should not be out there this week either. And if the fucking anybody in that organization has a brain in their head, they will sit that man and let him get right. I understand that means you're definitely going on 5. You're definitely going on 5 anyway. Sorry, dude.
Look, all you need is an average NFL quarterback, your second string backup, which they have, to get the ball to Jamar Chase.
And that's what. And Chase is like, I don't know. I'm always open.
You know? Yeah, because he is always open.
But Burrow can't.
Well, maybe not every time, but most times.
Burrow can't do Burrow.
You going with the Cards?
You're going with the Bengals. I'm going with the Cardinals.
All right. That'll be interesting. Eagles, Rams. This is going to be a hell of a football game.
Yeah.
And this is a really hard one for me. I'm going to go Eagles only because the smart part of my brain is saying that they're just a better football team, which they are. But the Rams have been balling this year, man. They've been playing really good. They've been in every game. They've been playing well. And to how we started this whole thing off today, you're dead on the money about Drew. I love him. I think he's amazing. I'm glad he's finally getting his opportunities. With a team that can win. But the Eagles are the better football team.
So. Yeah, I have to go with the Eagles here. Until proven otherwise, the Eagles win.
Right. So. I mean, they went to the Super Bowl in the NFC last year. They're undefeated this year, and they're not even playing good. Their best football yet. Imagine when they're all clicking together, they're going to be quite frightening.
I'm pretty sure they forgot how to win because they haven't done
it. Right. So. Jets, Broncos.
I forgot how to lose, I should say.
I'm going Jets, Broncos. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going with Zach Wilson.
Same.
Over Russell Wilson.
Same.
Because the Broncos are just god awful.
Broncos are trash, dude.
Russell Wilson's career is over.
Yeah.
And I don't think that should come as a shock to anybody. The Chiefs and the Vikings, they're playing in Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't done anything this year that makes me go, oh wow. And Kirk Cousins has been just not playing well. Turns the ball over way, way, way too much. I think the Chiefs were the idea that Patrick Mahomes is going to have back-to-back bad games is play the lottery. You've got a better shot. I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think that Mahomes is looking at that film and he's in disgust and he's like, I'm not freaking doing that 2 weeks in a row. He's going to clean that up. Chiefs are going to I think the Chiefs are going to be after God, Kirk Cousins. I think the Chiefs are going to be after Kirk Cousins a lot.
Oh yeah, so do I. Minnesota's just not clicking this year. They're not, except for except for Jefferson.
Yeah.
Nothing is really happening for that team, and they should be much better off, much better than they are. I'm going to skip the next game that I have here, and we'll go to the Packers Raiders, and then the last game we'll talk about will be the Cowboys Niners. So Packers Raiders, I'm going with the Raiders because they're at home. I think these two teams are evenly matched. That's why I'm just simply going with the home team. Neither one of their quarterbacks scare me. Jimmy Garoppolo is not, he's playing the worst football of his career that I've seen him play so far. But the Raiders actually, they started their backup quarterback, O'Connell, and he played really well against the Chargers and gave them everything that they were worth. And Devontae Adams was a monster. And Max Crosby, man, he is probably the most underrated defensive end edge rusher in the NFL. That guy's a monster, dude, and he played great. So I just think the Raiders here, only because I think everybody jumped out on Jordan Love, and I warned everyone, the Packers are not the team that you think they are, and I think they take another loss here.
Nah. I'm going to go with the Pack here because Raiders.
Because you hate the Raiders.
Because Raiders.
That's okay. I'll take the win. And then the last game, and obviously the game of the week. Two undefeated teams, or 3-1 Cowboys and the Niners. The Cowboys should be 4-0. The Cowboys righted their ship after a abysmal performance against the Cardinals. But here's the deal. I'm going 49ers, so I'll make this quick. Anybody who thinks on Sunday Night Football in front of the entire country that Dak Prescott is going to play at the level that it will take to beat the best team currently in the NFC, it won't happen because he's never done that. He never beats the best teams. And just like Tony Romo couldn't, or Danny White, or any quarterback not named Roger Staubach. Well, I mean, I got to give it to, I don't even like saying his name, Troy. And he won a few Super Bowls himself, but he wasn't a really good quarterback. He was a great field general, not a great quarterback. Roger Staubach was the last great quarterback that they had, if you ask me. And but Prescott, in his entire career, when it matters the most, he falls down, and he's going to fall down against the Niners. Niners defense is something that he's fortunately has to face once a year because they got the best defense in the NFC. I don't even think there's an argument to be made. And the second best defense, by the way, isn't Dallas's anyhow. It's the Eagles. So I don't see Dak Prescott being able to do it. And from what I've seen this year, Brock Purdy won't make a mistake that'll hurt the team because in his now 9 or 10 starts, he's never made that mistake. And two of those games were in the playoffs last year. The kid's really smart. Yeah. I'm just going to go. And by the way, NFC MVP and maybe NFL MVP candidate currently, McAfee, is playing out of his damn mind. So, and this is in San Francisco. So Niners.
Yeah, Christian McCaffrey is going to go off at per the usual. I mean, he's obviously going to be in the discussion for MVP, but that's a QB prize. So
as long as he can keep the pace, that can be hard to do.
But yeah, I definitely got the Niners here. That's a no-brainer in my opinion. So,
and it probably, I don't think this is going to be a blowout. But the one thing that you can count on Dallas, and I said this after they lost to the Cardinals, the one thing you can always, the one thing that'll never fail you is Dallas failing when it matters the most. And they're going to have to play currently the elite of all the teams in the NFC. They're the best team in the NFC. Currently, they're ranked number 1 in everybody's power rankings, from NFL.com to SI to Pro Football Talk to CBS, Fox, everybody's got 49ers is the number one team in the entire league right now, and they deserve it. They're 4-0, and they're not just beating teams; they're beating the shit out of them. And Brock Purdy, who I still waiting for the moment where in a 2-minute drive, less than 2 minutes, 80 yards in front of him, he does something spectacular that he is the guy that makes that win happen. And it's not his fault that hasn't happened yet because his team is so damn good, but I just haven't seen it. And that, to me, that's one for me, as an observer of football, for quarterbacks in particular, it's that moment whether I'll see whether you have what it takes to be a championship quarterback or you don't. It's the moment when the quarterback is the guy everything rests on, that he calms his whole team, that everybody plays and does what he says, and then he makes some kind of dime throw that puts it in the only spot that it can be caught, and they win. Pat Mahomes has done it, 100 times? Josh Allen's done it. Burrow's done it. All the great quarterbacks in the NFL currently have done it. I just haven't seen him do it yet. And then as soon as I see that, then I'll be good to go saying that he's the guy. But I just haven't seen it yet because things have been so easy for him. Kind of like Tom Brady with the Patriots when he came in for Drew Bledsoe back in 1990 or 91 or whenever it was. The Patriots are already built to go to a Super Bowl. Tom just had to step in and just take advantage of everything that went on. And they never even would have gone to the Super Bowl that year if they wouldn't have made up new rules just for him so the Raiders wouldn't go to the Super Bowl. Until I see it, right? I just got to see it.
So, I was kind of looking at the schedule. For me, the Niners, probably their first loss won't come until December 3rd because they have to go out to Philly. And that, to me, I look through their schedule, and until then, I don't see anybody who's going to beat them. But they may beat Philly because here's the thing: the 10 days before that will be the last time the Niners will have played. The Niners are playing on Thanksgiving, and then they get a whole 10 days to prepare to go out to Philly and play them December 3rd. Whereas Philly doesn't have that; it'll just be a regular week for them, so they don't get the extra time. Although they get to be at home, so that's gonna be a fucking game, dude.
Yeah, that's going to be a great game, and it's going to be a preview probably to the NFC Championship game. It'll be fun to see. Hopefully nothing tragic happens along the way, like Brock Purdy breaks his ankle or Jalen Hurts separates his shoulder or some stupid thing that'll keep them from going head to head at their best. I'd probably be more worried about Jalen Hurts only because he takes far more risks with his body than Brock Purdy does. Purdy is really, the more I watch him, he's really shifty in the pocket. It's hard to get pressure on him because he knows how to slide. Like Peyton Manning could be timed in the 40-yard dash with a sundial, right? He was so slow. Mm-hmm. But he was so shifty in the pocket and avoided so many sacks because he just knew how to dip and dive and shift inside the pocket because the pocket pressure didn't make him nervous. And I think today's NFL quarterbacks, a lot of them, especially the young guys, as soon as they get pocket pressure, they start to break down. They get nervous and they start to move away when it's not necessary. And I watch it every week where a young quarterback or even a veteran who gets pocket nervous, the pocket looks like it's collapsing. All he needs to do is step up, and instead he just runs. Just step up and make the throw. And they don't do that. And so young quarterbacks don't do that a lot. And that's something that you have to learn over time. But I think as such a young guy with so few starts, Brock Purdy is already really, really good at doing that. And by the way, so is CJ Stroud. 4 games and the kid just shifts around in the pocket like he's been playing pro football for 5 years. So yeah, my dislike for the Cowboys is palpable. I don't, I hate them, period. But I'm not picking them to lose. I'm picking the 49ers to win because they're the better football team. They just are.
Right on.
So that does it for us for the day. Everybody, thank you for tuning in and hit like and subscribe. I appreciate it. appreciate everybody coming and watching our show and listening to our opinions so far. As always, we're doing better than all the pundits who get paid millions of dollars to do this.
Yeah, if you're listening to this when it drops, probably this afternoon. This is Wednesday morning recording. It'll drop a little later. I got back from vacation yesterday, so we're out a little late, but we'll be back at it, back on time again next week on Monday evening, watching some of the games live and talking about how we did on our predictions. So
absolutely.
We will see you guys next week. And with that, peace out.
Peace out.